All right, guys, so this is the last set of directions for the mandala. So you should have your circle all made, all divided on its own layer. You should have at least one, if not two, layers for the pie pieces. So you have them all there. They're all colored in. You've done all your different details. Like if you want to add some painting details to the center, so you want to fill in some gaps, you can always take the paintbrush tool, which is right there, or hit the letter B, as in boy, on your keyboard. You can always paint in the center here. Remember, the paint is the stroke, not the fill. Let me just Command Z it. So you can do that. But once it's all done, the last step is changing the circle color and then deleting the guidelines. So let's do this. Let's lock up our pie pieces because we don't want to get them messed up somehow. Let's go to our circle layer. And I'm going to click on my circle. Actually, first let me delete these. If I draw little selections over the guidelines, they should delete. Every so often in Adobe, you try and delete a guide. I'm not sure why I have one down there. Every so often in Adobe, you try and delete a guideline like this one. It could just be in a different layer. But if it doesn't delete, you can always go back up to Window and, View. And go down to Guides and go down to Hide Guides. If you ever have them, you can't get rid of them, you want to get rid of them. The guidelines don't print. The line segments that you did for our diagonals, those do print, but the blue ones that were there, they don't print. But you don't want to delete them so they don't get in your way visually. You want to select your circle by hitting the V shortcut. Get the black arrow, select the circle. And now what you want to do is come over here to gradients. If for some reason you don't see it over here, remember, you don't want to have your view on Essentials Classic. But if it's on Essentials Classic and for some reason you don't see the gradient tool, you can always go to Windows. This is where all your little windows live, and hit on gradient. But I'm going to pull this up, and when I pull this up, I get a little bar, and I'm going to click on it. Click somewhere on that bar, and now you can see the gradient's been activated. It's a linear gradient, so like linear means line, it moves from like left to right. And here I have the white. If I double click on this and the black, if I double click on that, a lot of times the gradient comes up as black and white. If I go to this little 3-line menu bar, go from grayscale to CMYK, and same thing over here, double click on it, 3-line bar, grayscale down to CMYK. Now I have colors. And I think the linear gradient is a little hard to be successful because this is a radial design. So radial means that everything kind of centers from the middle and rotates around. So for that reason, I really strongly recommend that everyone do the radial design unless you have a super compelling, could kind of go in a line where you repeat colors. But generally speaking, for radial balance, which is what we're doing, the radial gradient is the best one. And then that means as you have your scales over here, you can slide them around. I think a lot of you played with gradients already, but just in case you haven't, if you hover below the bar, you get a plus sign where you can add other colors. And if you double click on that circle, you can pick colors from this little line. You can use these scales to change things around. If you decide you don't like a color for some reason, you can always select it, click it, hit delete, and it'll go away. So I'm not going to really worry about this one looks like because it's just the demo one. But let's pretend this is done because it looks good. And I would suggest, once again though, as you play with these colors, so this one, you have your tints, you have your tones, you have your shades. I would really kind of play with like all different varieties of this. And think about any kind of color harmonies. If you have a lot of green in your work, maybe a red could look kind of nice. If you want to do an analogous color scheme, that means like they're all kind of similar and look the same. Do keep that in mind. Spend some time trying to make it look the best you think it can. And then when you're done with that, once your circle's filled in, the last thing you're going to do is you're going to upload this to Canvas. Like you're going to save it and then upload it to Canvas. So a lot of you have been saving it. I'm hoping on the network. To be on the network, you would want to make sure you go up to your menu, like click on your desktop. I'm not sure if you can see in the screen that the menu bar changed, but it went from Illustrator to the Finder, File, Edit, View, Go, Windows Help. Go to Connect to Server, and yours should say student 2019. You're going to click connect, and then here it's going to prompt you for your password. This should be, for you, it should be your first initial, your last name, your graduation year, and then that's it. And then whatever password you use for Canvas should be good. You don't have to put your full email here, just your first part, then your password. I think that's my password. So this is like the faculty network. So what you're going to do is once you're in and logged in, that's fine. You don't have to do anything else. You can close it. But to go into Adobe, you'll make sure you save this on your network and then you upload to Canvas. So now what I'm going to do is I'm back in Illustrator. If I click back on here, my menu bar goes back to Illustrator. Go to File, Save As. And yours should look, let's do, actually, you know what, you're going to have a different screen than mine. You would have a little bar over here, and over here you're going to see one big all caps students. You click on students, and you have to kind of scroll down to see it, but there's going to be a folder for students to click on. Then what you're going to do is, like, over on this side, a window will pop up with your class year. You have to scroll around to find it, but you find your class year, you find your name, and once you have your name, you're going to click save. And then you'll save it. And you're going to get a little window like this, a gray one. You're going to click OK. And now once that's done, the last thing you're going to do is you're going to go into Canvas. And then once you're in, to get into Canvas, you have to go into, let's see, the internet. Let's pull one up that's not open. So you're going to go into Firefox or Safari, either one. And you have to go to msjacad.instructure. I think .com. And I get this part because we have a teacher verification system. But you guys should just get your Canvas login, and it should just go directly to the Canvas page. And then once you're in Canvas, you'll go to the mandala. Oh, that's the bell. Once you're in Canvas, you'll go to the mandala, you'll go to your class, go to the mandala assignment, upload it there as the AI file, not as a screenshot, because when I open it, I can't print from the screenshot. I also can't check it for like correctness with like layers and like what kind of tools you use. I can't check that if it's the screenshot. So it has to be the AI file, the Adobe Illustrator file. And then once that's all done, then you are done with this, and we'll be printing them over the next few days, or maybe actually a few weeks, realistically. And that's it.